what I've done in the last few months is I've put together an AI system which can do the due diligence and analysis of a business and an industry in any location within an hour.
Welcome to the SupperClinic Project Podcast, where we take regular clinic owners and turn them into cash-based multi-millionaire entrepreneurs. Warning, if you're a doctor regularly, you will make millions of dollars. Do not listen to this podcast unless you want to be a successful clinic owner who helps thousands of patients achieve their health goals and adds more money than you can imagine to your bank account. You've been warned.
Welcome to the SupperClinic Project Podcast, where we take regular clinic owners and turn them into super clinic owners. I'm one of your hosts, Jennifer Gligoric, and today you're going to be here with me and a guest that can finally answer all of your questions about mergers and acquisitions. Our guest has shared stages with the icons like Kevin Costner, Adam Coffey, Kimora Lee Simmons, Tanina Lamborghini, huge people tackling issues like post-deal integration, scaling, ensuring businesses maximize their value and stability during transformation. And I can't wait to get started and have you guys meet Craig Keegan of A Profits. Welcome to the show, Craig.
Jennifer, what an introduction. That sounds wonderful.
Well, you're pretty... I think that's you, right?
We are going to make a difference, and we're going to show people what the future can hold for them too.
Right. So let's talk about mergers and acquisitions. You said a lot of people, right before we got on, you said a lot of people lose a lot of money in that. And you know that most of our listeners come from a healthcare background. They're clinic owners, right? But yet they're doing all sorts of deals and partnerships and M&A stuff all the time. So let's talk about what are the most common pitfalls in mergers and acquisitions that you see?
Preparation. That's really the big one. Preparation. They're not prepared. They're not ready. But most of all, they don't know what the options are. And I would say that's not just in the healthcare industry. That's in every industry. They don't know what the options are. For example, you just there said mergers and acquisitions. What about roll-ups? Roll-ups are good. They're really good. What is a roll-up? And why is it different to a merger and acquisition? So they're the things that I would say that people get wrong at the very beginning. And it's the fundamentals of preparation. They're not ready to scale up, to grow, to change their business, to exit their business, or to get the cash payout from their business and still be in the business, or get the cash payout from the business and still have the business as an investment as well, so that they can then sell that business again in 3 to 5 years' time. How do they sell it twice?
Yeah, how do they sell it twice? Like, even I'm sitting here going, wait, I didn't even know those were options. Those are options?
Those are options, absolutely. And that's why when you say, what are the mistakes people make? Well, they don't know. And that's what I do. And that's why I'm here, to try and give them some guidance as to, you've got a lot more options. It's not just a simple sell your business these days. It's not just a simple I'm out. There's so many options now. So I'll go back to that selling your business twice.
Yes, I'm very curious.
I saw your eyes pop out there.
Yeah, I was like, what is that about? That sounds great. I want to do that. I want to create this one thing and then just keep on making money off of it. That sounds great for me, yeah.
Okay, well, how about we go into that one a bit more then?
Okay.
So what that's about, that's a roll-up. And roll-ups are special. They are sort of like they come from the merger and acquisition arena, but they are totally you-focused rather than the buyer-focused. They're totally focused on the practice holder. And that is, what does the practice holder actually want in their life? Where do they see their life in the future? And then how do we achieve that? So these days, we've got a lot of baby boomers that are getting out of the business and they've had enough. They've done their stint and now it's time to move on. So what they might do is say, okay, I've done pretty well out of this. I don't need all the money from the sale of this business. What I might do is I will join a roll-up. And what that means is where you put, say, 5, 10, 15 different practices together. They share a back end. They share the admin side of things. They share the purchasing. They get all that right. And you don't have to worry about the admin. Does that make you happy?
Oh, gosh. And yeah. Because I know a lot of
That's all they want to do.
yeah, that is all they want to do. So I can see how that might be beneficial to someone who's like, look, I have patients that I like and I'm an expert in what I do. I don't want everything to determine on me. It'd be great if I could get some of like the best quality patients, maybe some top tier patients, stay there. I can do some, be on camera or do something, but I won't have to worry about the rest of it. And it was not going to fold if I need to take a vacation.
Exactly. And so you might want to set up an arrangement with the roll-up organizer for that. That's the way that you want to work. And don't be wrong here. Yes, you are going to have to sell off a part of your business to do this, but that's okay. Why don't you keep a good slab of it as well? And then you get dividends from that. You get growth from that. You don't have to worry about the admin. That'll be taken care of for you. You don't have to worry about the marketing and all that sort of stuff. That'll all be taken care of for you. Then what happens is those 10 to 15, as an example, another organization, they've also put together 10 or 15. When those two combine, you've now got 20 to 30. Now, a small company is worth a small amount of money.
Right.
A medium company is worth a medium amount of money, but not, let's say worth, let's add in the word value as well. Their value increases. So the per dollar increases multiple times. Your practice will be worth, say, 5 to 6 times what your income is. When you roll up into this 30, it might actually go to 12 times.
Wow.
So way more than doubled the value of your practice at this stage. And remember, you've sold off, say, 60, 70%, but you've still got 30, 40% of that business. So though it's going to be diluted in the overall side of things, the value of that 30 to 40% is probably worth more than the value of your clinic right now.
Yes.
So why don't you sell another 20% off in 5, 6 years' time and pay twice?
I see what you're saying. Oh, wow. That's fascinating. I can tell you, that's something that the small business owner, doesn't really think about in the grand scheme of things. But especially if you're doing something that there's a lot of other people who do it in other areas. And if you've developed a system where you're doing it really, really well, and that system would work on another scale, rather than thinking of franchise or some other models, this would be a lot more lucrative for you.
Right you are. Do you know where this fails first off? First point of failure is they go and see their accountant. The person that does their taxes, the person they've known for 20, 30 years that has got them to where they are today. Is that person, and you're a coach, is the person that got you that far today the same person that's going to get you to the next step after that?
No, usually not. And it's like that with staff, and it's very difficult because we have loyalty, we have love for people. But at the same time, we have this fiduciary responsibility to the entity that we've now built that can do so much more, put our value out into the world in much bigger ways, help more people, especially with what we do. I mean, if you could help get 1 million people well with something, or rather than like, what are you going to want to do? What's your biggest impact, right? What is that? Ori has said, he goes, the greatest thing we humans struggle with is our untapped potential and staying with our potential. It just seems, and he's right. You see people that struggle. They're more negative. They're more unhappy. The system's bringing them down. And, you hear that from them. And then you see people are like, no, I mean, I'm not where I really want to be, but I feel like I got a good beat on things. I feel like and then it usually is a phrase that I'm on the path to where I want to be. And it's that potential. And there are some people who will not go on that path. They will anesthetize themselves from that path. They will get angry about it and try to get away from that path. They're very unhappy. And then the people who stay on the path of growth to their ultimate potential, they tend to be much happier with things, even if it's harder, even if their life is actually, when you look on paper, wow, that's much more difficult than this person's life. They have a lot more obstacles and worries and responsibilities, but yet they feel at least that they're growing as human beings. The same thing can be said with when you get into business and you need to expand your mind on where you can go and your potential. How do you work with people who you can see the infinite potential, but they can't at first? Do you ever get people like that? They want to know, and then you're like, oh, this would be great. And then they get scared. Do you ever get that?
Always. People are always scared of the unknown. And when you start dealing with someone, you're always starting from the first step. You can't start halfway through. You've got to go back to the basics. Okay, what are you trying to achieve? And I was talking with a business broker recently of dental practices. And I said, so tell me about, what do your clients do? Where are they 2 years after they sell their practice? And she said, I don't know. She said, I never talk to them again. I've got this little page that I keep in my database, and it's never deal with these people. She was straight onto that list because she didn't care about her clients. She didn't find out, what do they really want in their life? What are they trying to achieve? That's where you have to start, because this is all about providing the lifestyle, providing their future for them. So that's where I start. And that's the most important thing. Money won't get you everything. They might want to work part-time. They might want to, as we discussed, not be bothered with the back end. They might not want to be bothered with the staffing side of things. Well, that's fine. Then have they got a great office admin person? Maybe the office admin person could become their boss and take care of all their staffing for them, so that they can just do exactly what you said, pick their clients. I've been working with this lady for years now. She really is special to me. I just want to work with her when she comes in. I want to have a special diary that I can work with them.
Yeah.
So
I know
it's
a lot
matter
of clients
picking the
like that. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of clients from
I build dreams.
Yeah. No, and it's something that, until the great thing about going back into podcasting and doing this is that meeting people who are in the trenches like you, I'm doing it in a different way, but yet I get stuck in what I do. Right. And so I'm constantly just working with them in this, accelerator program to get them to double the revenue. But it's like a 4-month intense accelerator. Then I have my one-on-one. But there's this whole world with people like you that are out there that are so much more expansive. Now, do you want someone before they've come to me? Probably not, because they don't have all their numbers. They don't have a good idea. You know what I'm saying? But once they have that in place and they've really been beaten. Not that I beat them, but kind of. But, they know their why. They know their purpose. They know their promise. They know the legacy they want to leave if they, or at their funeral, what they, they're really dialed into that. Then you can really build this golden road to wherever their dreams go, right? It's like this thing I used to do when I used to give talks, and I'd have to be up on stage. One of the things I would do that I thought was fun is I'd always take someone from the audience and we would play the I Spy game. And so I would pick out something in a room, and I always tried to pick out something if there was a lot of it. So let's say the conference room had a green, one of those green carpets with a crazy pattern in it. And, I'd say, I spy something green. And then they'd say, well, the carpet. Well, no, the this. And then they would keep on, I would give them a little bit of clues, right? This. And it would take a while. And then finally I would say, it's in this quadrant, this. And then they'd look and then they'd say, that lady's earring in the very back. This tiny little speck of green. I say, see, if you know what you're looking for, you can find it, no matter how difficult it is. But how many people just have never decided to sit down and write out what they really, really want, right? And once you do that, it can make things a lot clearer. And you had talked a little bit about doing your due diligence at the very beginning of this. Some people have it. That's one of the big mistakes. And I know that you work a lot with people with automation and AI, using those things to simplify due diligence and like different integrations. Can you talk about that, since that's like so hot right now?
And it is. So from the AI perspective, to do a due diligence on a business practice, it'll take 4 weeks. And from the back end side of things, I'll have an accountant, I'll have a lawyer, I'll have a conveyancer. I've got a whole team doing due diligence on a business. But that takes forever. and is very expensive. It costs about 2% of the sale price to do that due diligence. That's a lot of money, a lot of investment. So what I've done in the last few months, I come from an IT background historically. So yeah, lots of little different hats that I've worn in the past. But what I've done in the last few months is I've put together an AI system which can do the due diligence and analysis of a business and an industry in any location within an hour.
What?
One person within an hour.
That's crazy. See, I use AI too. I have these 12 AI helpers. It's a very specialized program, and I will use it to help me with follow-up. If I have a meeting now, I'll take the transcript of my meeting and I'll give it to different AI helpers, and I'll say, pull out what we talked about this and make it more concise, and do some research on this part. And what would normally have been hours, if not sometimes weeks on the research site, I can get within an hour too. And it's just unbelievable what it can do. But it never dawned on me that something as complicated as what you've got to do, especially when you're talking about lawyers and accountants and pulling data and all the spreadsheets and all the things that you need, that you would be able to use it for all of that. That's incredible.
ChatGPT 4.0. They did a test on it and it passed the American bar, the legal bar. When they asked it the question, it passed. 50% isn't the pass rate, by the way, for the American legal bar. It's 80%. So it's not just it scraped across the line or anything. It had to excel. And as a result of that, all that information is in there. So it has that as a resource. So you too, if you use ChatGPT 4.0, which is free, you too have access to the entire American legal bar and all of its research.
Wish I would have known that before. I did not even know that. I hardly use ChatGPT because I pay for this other program that I'm just used to, and I've got the app for it and everything. But wow, that's amazing. So eventually we won't need lawyers.
We can only dream.
That's what I'm thinking. That's terrible.
The world isn't that lucky.
I have so many lawyers in my family. They're all going to be like, but sorry.
No, my goddaughter is studying law right now, and
My nephew?
I feel a little bit guilty about all the jokes that I make about lawyers. Love my goddaughter dearly, but I don't know that I'll be able to stop making jokes.
I know you can't. So thinking about it, so going back to our clinic owners and what they struggle with that, what do you think, because they have to build it, what they want, before someone talks to you, where do you think they should be at? Because I get that a lot. Well, we can't go to anyone else because we're too new. I just know that I want to retire. I'm 50 now and I would like to really retire or sell. Like, that's usually where they're at. So when you're talking about due diligence, what's the due diligence they need to be thinking of? If they know that, hey, if they listen to this, if there's someone listening to this and they go, well, that's interesting, what would they need to quantify or to come with someone like you to be able to have a good conversation?
Okay, let's forget about me for starters.
Okay.
So let's talk about you. First of all, they need to go and see you, because what they need is the systemizations, which you're very well capable of doing. They need the business analysis and they need the income growth. They need good books. And that's where you come in all the way. Honestly, they need to go and see you first. When you were talking about what you were doing before, I was sitting back here thinking, if only I got clients like Jennifer's suggesting. That had been
because we're about to introduce you to all of them, right?
Because your clients would be the perfect clients that I could receive.
So basically, if they've just got, they understand where they're at, they've got their marketing system, they can tell you, this is our client journey, this is what I say and do, and these are our numbers. That would be enough to start to build out a plan.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Anywhere's enough to start. It's just how long that journey's going to take. And you've got a 3-4 month journey there that you've already got outlined. So better to go straight into that. Make sure that your car isn't a part of the practice. Your personal car, your wife's car, all those, clean up your books. If you can clean up your books, because you can have two businesses. One, you can have a business set up for tax minimization, or you can have a business set up for sale and sale price maximization. You can't have both. You choose, but I would always choose for the sale. The reason for that is it takes time to get to that sale preparation side of things. And you don't know when one of the 5 Ds are going to hit. And that's divorce, death, those sorts of things are going to hit, where you're going to have to make a decision quickly as to what's going to happen with your practice. Therefore, always set your business up ready for sale rather than for tax minimization. You can afford the tax, but you need to be ready for the unknown, and that is an exit of some variety that you may not have planned for. Well, you need to start planning. And when do you need to start planning? Today you buy the business. Simple.
No, this is the best. I'm going to quote this in so many conversations that I have from this day forward. You have said it in a way that I have thought about it, but not been able to get the words together in what I was saying. But that's really it. I know too many owners who think about their business other than minimizing their taxes, and they don't think about it for sale. They're doing all these things so they just don't have to pay a lot of taxes. And yet they are not in any position when something happens because they're not thinking about it strategically. They're thinking about it in the short term. That is excellent advice. I hope everyone's listening to Craig on this. You better be. And we're going to make sure that this is played and replayed for all of that. What do you think? Before we go, because we're going to be here at the end here in just a moment, where we're doing really good time. You had talked once about creating value versus destroying value, and I think that this ties in to what you were just talking about. What are some ways that people can start creating value if they're like, oh crap, that's exactly what I've been doing. I, have mixed my personal and my this, and it's just a way to get my taxes down. And that was their aha moment, listening to this and hearing this. So what are some ways they can change and start creating value?
Before I answer that, how long can the practice owner go on holidays for before they come back and they haven't got a business? Can you go away? Can they go away for 3, 4, 5 weeks? If they can't go away for a month without their business going backwards, then they have a problem. So that's a recognition that you've got a problem. Now, how do you start to build that value? Look at where things go wrong. Look at where things have gone wrong, where things have fallen down. Start to put processes and systems in place to prevent that from happening. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody take a month holiday just to see their business go down the gurgler, but look at where you're spending your time. Write up a schedule of daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, then go down another column and allocate a person to those. Then allocate the time that it takes to do that, and then multiply it out. Figure out how much time is being spent on those. Then go and talk with Jennifer about her little AI app that does 7 tasks and see what can be automated, what can be systematized. Hope that's a word.
You know what? That's how I say it. In fact, I wrote it. I just figured out the real word is systemized. And I have said systematized for probably 30 years. And I was typing it in the Grammarly, kept on saying no, no. And then I was like, no, that's what I'm trying to say. And I realized it did not understand what I meant. And needless to say,
you do. That's all that matters. That's where you add the value. That's where you go looking for that value. That's where you're going to grow the value of your business. Because when I walk in and I look at your practice, I know that one of your options might be, hey, I don't want to be in the business anymore. Well, that makes me sad because I want to keep you around. Or I might want to step out in a few months' time, or I might want to reduce my hours. I have to take that into consideration. So therefore, I need to know where are the gaps in what you're doing? And that's where the systems come in. And that's where we need to fill those. That's what's going to add value to your business and make it saleable. Instead of I said it's going to be 4 times or 6 times your income, your annual income. If you haven't got systems in place, then it's probably going to be 3 times. If you've got some systems in place, it'll be 4. If you're fully systemized, and you've got all your processes, everything in place, it'll be 6 times. We will be doing an assessment of your business, and that's going to be the first thing we look at. Can you walk out the door? And I personally don't want you to.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of small businesses, including our clinics and other people who are listening here, the biggest bottleneck is either their admin or their fulfillment. And when it's fulfillment, that's the biggest one, because that really is you can't walk away because I'm the only one who can do it. And that is the worst place to be if you're trying to be the CEO. Yeah,
It is.
absolutely. So that is a very good question. If you had to walk, how long could you take away before it would tank?
That's that's the litmus test.
And what would you say is a good one? Like if they said, well, probably 8 weeks, like would that be a healthy one? Would you go, yeah, probably 8 weeks before we notice a dip? Because I do make strategic decisions or because I'm involved in this.